All right, True Crime Grapevine fans, it's me, Patty Lee, and I'm here with my case number 5. Oh, and it's our favorite Lopso hairdo, Lori Vallow, with her, Tweedledee and Tweedledum lawyers. Okay, why do I say Tweedledee and Tweedledum, emphasis on the dumb? Yeah, we're having a problem. I have a personal problem. Let me just say that. It's my problem with this one here, especially. No, this one and his big fat mouth, especially. Yeah. He's doing his best to vigorously, as they say, defend his, crazy ass client, but yeah, I think he's gone afoul. There's a couple of things we need to talk about. So the Lori Vallow case, if you haven't been following, let me just tell you. The case starts out with Lori's, it could go back further, but we're going to start with Lori's third husband. Wait, 1, 2, 3, fourth husband. Number 3 is dead too, but we're going to start with her fourth husband here. This is Charles Vallow. Charles Vallow was about 20 years older when he met Lori. She was 30, he was 50-ish about. And he has a large family. He has a sister, Kay. And Kay had a son who had I don't know if he had an addiction issue or if the girl that he had a baby with had an addiction issue, but somehow the son could not take care of their baby, her grandchild, who was named something else. His name was, I believe, was it Canon? He had a different name, a biblical name. And Lori said when she was married to Charles Vallow, and they actually were married for more than a decade, which was very unusual for Lori, Canaan. She wanted to rename the baby. The baby was 2 when she adopted him. They were going to name, so again, as with our previous case, the West boys, which were really the sincere and classic Pruitt, is that right, boys? Renaming a child at 2, especially JJ is autistic. She renamed him Joshua, whatever, JJ. You guys, that child had a name. I don't care what her reason was. Like, she was like, oh, but Canaan was the city that was destroyed, and it was destroyed by the man named Joshua in the Bible. So we're going to go with Joshua, or whatever freaking weird idea she had. It's weird to change a human's name when they're 2, especially if they're autistic, because that's their name already. But anyway, Larry and Kay were glad that Charles and seemingly this perfect lady, Lori, were going to help raise her grandchild. It was an in-family adoption, right? Because Charles was really the second cousin. It was his sister's child's kid, but his relative by blood. And Kay still acted as grandma. So Lori and Charles Vallow, by the way, every single husband she had wasn't Mormon when they got together. She asked them to convert for her. Joe Ryan did, her third husband who is dead, and Charles Vallow did. Yes, only Chad Daybell was the only Mormon, and she was brought up Mormon. So, but I wondered, like, was she having to pick non-Mormons because she had already been married multiple times and she was considered maybe like damaged goods in the I'm not sure how the Mormon culture feels about multiple divorces, and like being like and multiple kids with different fathers, because by the time she met Charles and they were adopting JJ, she had Colby by her second husband who made it out alive, and Tylee by Joe Ryan, who she was only married to 3 years before she divorced him, and then started a like 10-year horrible fight over custody, which ended after he died. But not to worry, because the money that he left Tylee, because Tylee was a minor, $350,000 went to Lori. So that was great, wasn't it? Huh. Insurance money. So back to Charles Vallow. Yeah, they were married for like 15, 16 years, maybe only 12 or 14. But they suddenly were having problems after Lori had been reading these books by this evangelistic type Mormon splitter group, preparing the people, apocalyptic, more than a regular Mormon, apocalyptic prepper guy, Chad Daybell. And Charles was catching on that maybe she was attending these conferences for other reasons. He found emails. He tried to alert Tammy Daybell. And surprisingly, right as he was trying to alert Tammy Daybell and finally divorcing Lori after she had been already calling him a zombie and saying maybe she should, unalive him. And he was afraid. He was so afraid for his well-being that not only did he call the police, which we've seen on the Chandler police cams, but that's in Arizona. So we've seen that because the case in Arizona, they allowed that to be released. This is the case in Rexburg, Idaho, where the kids were unalived. What we saw was he was asking for all this help. We knew he was afraid of her because she said she was going to kill him. And she was a goddess. So he's like, she's crazy, blah, blah, blah. But again, Lori, like Letitia, went to the police station with Melanie Gibb and Tylee and could make up all side. No. Like, she didn't go there and go, yeah, I know the angel Moroni. I've spoken to Jesus. He's a demon. He isn't Charles Vallow. No. Okay, she didn't say that to the police. To the police, she was like, maybe I should be checked out. Do they have a gym there? Could I get some rest? Whatever. Lori. Lore horror, as she's come to be known. Yeah, so this Charles Vallow here. Why do I have this picture? Well, this is the house. This is body cam, that piece of the house in Chandler, Arizona, where Lori's brother Alex, or did Alex really do it? We don't know, because it appears as if Alex and Lori was in the house, and maybe Tylee was still there, and maybe JJ too. We don't know, because Alex is dead, Tylee is dead, and JJ is dead. Which is weird. Everybody who could have been a witness to maybe Lori, not Alex. Maybe Lori shot Charles. We don't know, because everybody else is dead. Convenient, no? Anyways, so Lori in 2018, the year before, miraculously, somehow Joe Ryan, her ex, was dead and had left money, insurance money, to Tylee that Lori could control because Tylee was a minor. And now she knew Charles Vallow sold insurance, and he had a great insurance policy. And right before this, right before Charles found out that Lori was probably doing something with Chad, because there were weird emails going back and forth. Before that, he and Lori had broken up at first, and then Lori was trying to get back with him. And I'm sure she didn't want him to cancel his insurance. And we know she thought he didn't cancel his insurance, because days after he was, not even cold yet, and she didn't tell his sons from another marriage who were like older that their dad had even died, or, well, she said they died, but she didn't say why. She told somebody he had killed himself. She told somebody else it was a heart attack. So she's lying about the manner of death. She goes to make the insurance claim. It might have even just been like days later. And it's recorded. She's like, I'm the blah, blah, blah. I'm his wife. And they said, how did he die? And she said, by a gunshot. Not that he was murdered, not homicide. Oh, by a gunshot. Maybe implying, well, I guess if it was suicide and the writer said not. But anyway, the lady looks her up. Guess what? She wasn't the beneficiary. And Lori was hot. Now, Lori had just moved into this rental house. She didn't even have furniture. Did she move in there because she knew she wouldn't be there long? Was it just a place to do a crime? Look at me. I sound like one of those people. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? It's weird that she makes a joke about, oh, hi, new neighbors. This isn't July. This happened. Here's the house from above. This is an above shot. This is the house with the, crew. They did look at it, but at the time, Arizona's kind of really a hotbed of different political extremes, and I don't know, guns are a big thing, and people are like, well, he attacked him, it was self-defense, and they were going to let it go. But they did look, they did do an investigation, and here's the thing. So it's July 11th. She had newly moved in. Charles was actually renting the house. Out back you can see where there's a pool. They had a pool party that night. And then afterwards she had called for the insurance money. Soon after that, by August, she is packing up and moving to Rexburg, Idaho, and without any notice, she is, after this, getting rid of JJ's service dog, because JJ's not going to need it, I guess. Why wouldn't JJ need it? So basically, she commits this crime. She finds out she's not getting these millions of dollars. No, Kay is the beneficiary. And she thinks Kay, basically, in recordings, she speaks so derisively of Kay, that as if Kay stole her money. Kay stole her money. And how is she supposed to take care of JJ without that money? It's Kay's fault. Kay's the bad one. She gives away JJ's service dog. She doesn't enroll him. She takes him out of the good school in Arizona. She goes up to Rexburg. Leaves everything behind. She does enroll him in Rexburg, but then doesn't really go. Like, they're up there August. They get there September, and almost immediately, the kids disappear. JJ is... First, Tylee is gone, and she tells people that Tylee is at BYU out of Rexburg. She's she's at school. That's where she is. Even though she's 16. Oh, she was so smart. She got her GED and she went to college. Like, nobody attended her graduation ceremony. They didn't have anything. Like, Lori is a girl that likes to show off. So here you can see is Tylee down here after the shooting. Again, witness to the shooting in July, and by September, unalived before her 17th birthday. And then here's little Miss Lori. She tried to get insurance money only to find out that Kay Woodcock got it, and and immediately uproots her children and runs to Rexburg, even though Chad at this time is not divorced yet. Lori. So, Lori's in a pickle. She needs that money, and Kay got it. Kay is a problem for Lori. Oh, sorry. So, if we go back here, here's the big question that we're deciding right now. So, in court, after the children, they were missing, again, not reported, except who reported them? In like all these cases, at least there's some family that goes, yeah, we haven't seen that kid in months. Kay, the biological grandmother, and her husband, Larry Woodcock, and there's JJ. When JJ was little, Kay and Larry raised him after he was born and this is, the timeline's a little wacky because they said he was adopted at 2, but I think maybe they fostered or cared for JJ between when he was like 8 months old to when he was 2, is what I think. So maybe they changed his name when he was 8 months old, which wouldn't be as traumatic. I'll give Lori that. And not as weird, because a baby, even though they would know their name, you know, he was autistic. He was gonna, I don't know. Maybe they felt like if Lori felt more bonded with him, that would be good. But Kay and Larry had always been in contact with JJ. They actually felt like Tylee was, even though she wasn't biologically theirs, they considered her their grandchild too. But they kept up with JJ. They talked to him on his iPad all the time, like multiple times a day. Then all of a sudden, he disappears. Where'd he go? They didn't even know they went to Rexburg. They had no idea. But because Charles was very nervous about Lori, he had transferred other things. Kay was able to get into his accounts. Kay was able to see what was going on. Like Lori was ordering, I don't know, wedding rings and wedding dresses. Which if you look at the timeline, after Chad's wife died, it was prior to Chad's wife dying, she's buying a wedding dress and rings. Malachite rings. Remember the word malachite, people. Remember that word. I believe that's going to come up. Might cause pulmonary distress and, you know, heart attack looking symptoms. Just saying. Which Paul Ryan died of, which Tammy Daybell died of, which Alex Cox died of. We don't know about Tylee because she was dismembered and burned. So, and I'm sure we'll find out more about JJ. Because they had his whole body. But anyway, and in fact, so Lori marries Chad after Chad's wife dies. They run off to, they go get married in Hawaii. They come back from Hawaii, and that's when it's after November, you know, and it has been since like early August, late July, since Kay and Larry have really spoken to JJ. They said maybe once in September there was a quick call and it was like immediately disappeared. So they are calling for a wellness check. And that is when, just like in these other cases, we have people show up and ask for where are the kids. And Chad Daybell is at Lori's apartment, and so is, I think her brother's there, or at first Lori's there. And she says something about, she introduces her, she's like, oh, something about my brother and his friend, Chad. And one of the officers goes, Chad, you mean Chad Daybell? Didn't his wife just die? And Lori's like, oh, yeah, but she doesn't know him. Okay, by this time, they're already married. So, again, is she insane? I don't know, she's lying. Lying really good. Doesn't even know this Chad. He's just, you know, some friend of her brother Alex's. Not that he's this prophet and she's a goddess and they're starting this church of the firstborn together. No, not anything of that. No talk of demons. Anyways, where's JJ? Oh, like our other case, he's out of state. This time, he's out of state with her friends. Well, first he was out of state with Kay and Larry, his grandparents. And they're in Louisiana. And they're like, no. No, because you know what? That's who called us. And she's like, oh, what I meant to say, actually, is that, yeah, he's in, she's like that liar guy. He's in, Arizona with my friend Melanie Gibb. Yeah, that's the ticket. So then she's texting Melanie Gibb, wanting her to send a picture of kids running around for Frozen. You got to say JJ's there. And then Melanie Gibb gets nervous. Because what the fuck? Why? Excuse my language, but why are these people? Anyways, it all turns out, you know, this snowballs until, and then Lori and Chad run away as soon as they're visited once. Because they know now JJ's missing and they're looking for him. And they know JJ's not around. Why do they know? Well, come to find out, after they're brought back, Lori can't produce her children. She's in jail for that. She's extradited back to Idaho. And then in June, we find in Chad's backyard remains of the two children. Now, Chad doesn't know how they got there, and neither does Lori. It must be all Alex's fault. Right. But when they dig up the children, now Tylee's remains they need to be identified through DNA. They're so destroyed. But JJ is all in one piece. Now it's whatever, disgusting. I'm not going to describe it in detail, but you know who they call next of kin to ID him? Yeah, Larry and Kay Woodcock, his grandparents, the ones who reported him missing. Yeah, can you come do this horrific task? Now, I guess Brandon Bordeaux ended up doing it for them because they were overwrought and, of course, overcome. And Brandon Bordeaux was Melanie Pulaski, now Melanie Pulaski, but it's Lori's niece, who is in this cult. Now, as the trial is starting, Lori's, they're talking about witnesses. People who are witnesses must be excluded from the court until they have already given their testimony, and then they can sit in, but not if they're going to be recalled, and not until they've given their testimony. Pretty standard. You wouldn't know it if you watched the Murdaugh trial, but pretty standard. Problem is, in Idaho, you have a exception to that rule if you are a victim or an immediate family member. And I do say or because the defense wants it to be only immediate family members, and they say they're not kicking out a grandparent because Kay gave up her rights to grandparents, or her son did when she allowed her grandson to be adopted, ignoring the fact it was in family, ignoring the fact that they raised them at first, and that basically, whatever. It's ridiculous, I'll grant you. But the defense is focusing on the immediate family designation, whereas the state, although I don't think they're doing it hard enough, is focusing on the victimization of the couple due to JJ's death, and that they were emotionally harmed. Does that sound familiar if you paid attention to the Gabby Petito case? Directly by Lori's actions, by the crime. So they are victims of the crime. And I would definitely say, I would go further to say that because Kay is a sister to one of Lori's other victims, even though it's out of state, it's part of this whole crime spree. Just because it crossed states, it's still part of the whole crime. And specifically because Lori pointedly was mad at Kay. Kay got her money. And she said, well, then how am I supposed to take care of JJ? And it's almost as if, to me, and I could make this case, this argument, and I think it's accurate, that Lori decided, well, Kay got the money, and now she can't raise JJ, so I guess she's just going to have to take away JJ. As in, take away JJ. And really, it's Kay's fault. It's not Lori's fault. It's Kay's fault. She wanted the money. I mean, Lori is absorbed, self-absorbed. It's my opinion, it's alleged, but I truly believe that Kay is a victim because she unalived JJ to punish Kay for taking that money. That's what I think. Without that money, Tylee was good for her money until it probably ran out. And then JJ was going to be good for Charles' money. Oh, great. And then he gave the money to his sister. So what good are these kids now to her? Besides, even after they were unalived, she continued to get their Social Security for Tylee and got disability payments for JJ. Yeah, she took the money. Don't you worry about that. That's why she's got fraud charges. But I submit to you that Kay Woodcock specifically is a direct family member of a victim, Charles Vallow, that Lori killed, and is also directly a victim of Lori Vallow because Lori was angry at Kay for taking what Lori saw as her money. That makes her a direct victim. And I hope Judge Boyce sees it the same way. As of right now, about 6 o'clock on Monday evening, Eastern Standard Time, I don't know. Sorry, it's about 7 now. But I haven't looked at my stuff since 5. So really, since I looked at any social media at 5, we hadn't gotten any decision. Now, Judge Boyce may have decided now because it's been later in the day out in the Mountain Standard Time, which is 2 hours behind us. So I think Kay should be able to sit in court all the time. I think she fulfills the exception of both a direct family member of a victim, a sibling of a victim, which is why Colby's allowed to be in there because he's a sibling of Tylee and JJ. I mean, sorry, Charles Vallow, hello. Why is Kay not? She is a direct sister to that victim, as well as a direct victim of Lori's, because Lori wanted to hurt Kay by hurting JJ. Take JJ because it was like an even trade for the money. Look, I totally believe, personally, in my opinion, just allegedly, that Lori's sick enough to think that was a fair trade, or at least punishment for what she saw Kay doing. Like, she probably saw Kay as money hungry, and so too bad you can't complain. And as I said, Tylee, witness to Charles Vallow death, gone. Alex, witness or perpetrator, we'll never know, dead and gone. Everybody, JJ, was at the house. Did he see anything? I don't know, dead and gone. And Lori, oh Lori, knew enough to lie. Better stories than Letitia's. And isn't she pretty? A pretty lady like that couldn't be bad, could she? Yeah, well, if you want to be biblical about it, that's exactly what the devil would do, right? So anyways, not that I believe that, but I'm just saying. All right. That was case 5. I will be updating you. Please follow Lori Hellis. She has a YouTube channel called Children of Darkness and Light. Also the YouTube channel Pretty Lies and Alibis. Different reasons for following them. Gigi at Pretty Lies and Alibis has been following this case since its inception, since the very beginning. That's why she started Pretty Lies and Alibis with her friend Fruit Loop, who I love and adore and miss. They started this case because of how tragic this all was, and have been with it along the way. Please, you've seen her at the Murdaugh trial, Gigi, but this was really the case that started it. And she's got playlists galore, and she's got a really long playlist that covers the whole thing. She covered it from the very beginning, and she just did I think it's a 3-part series, like a crash course. Now, Lori Hellis is a lawyer, and she started out on Hidden True Crime, which I loved her there, but she was disinvited. I don't know what the deal was, and it's not my business. But I love her because she is kind and respectful. She doesn't make anybody feel dumb for asking a question, but she handles like the legal side. And this is a trial, and it's very important because there's how we feel, our emotions, and then there's the law. And she explains the difference, and I love her. So if you're interested in the Mormon aspect, so I'm going to be telling you about a book report I'm doing. Where I'm trying to look for I had the book jacket. I will be uploading that. I probably tape it either later tonight or tomorrow, so it'll be up by Wednesday. And I'll do it in the parts of the book. Whoa, it is fascinating. That woman hits it from the political, conservative, Mormonism, splitter church. It's really interesting. Buy that book. But I will tell you, there is a Mormon channel called Mormon Stories, and there is a channel, the Mom. They're Mormons, or ex-practicing Mormons, and they, especially the Mormon Stories that has the Mom on it and has Lauren from Hidden True Crime, they talk about Mormonism and some of the original theories and some of what people like. Lori's viewpoints aren't as strange as they initially appear. That's all I have to say about that. It is very interesting, the history and some of the long-held things about Mormonism. So when people say, why is Judge Boyce keeping everything under wraps? Now, I guess he's ex-Mormon or doesn't practice anymore, but he was Mormon, or maybe is. I don't know. That's just allegedly. But a lot of people are of that religion, and the church itself, there's like 3 or 4 big cases. You've heard of Warren Jeffs, I'm certain. There was the LeBaron case. There was the case covered in the Under the Banner of Heaven, the book, what is it called? When the moon runs blood, when the moon turns to blood. Runs Blood. Ugh. Anyways, that book that I'm reading right now, she starts off with another sort of twist. But I think it's very important that if you want more, and where I'm getting my sourcing from as an academic, you know, I almost finished a dissertation, not quite, but I did finish all my PhD work. As an academic, I am steeped in giving you sources. Like, don't trust me, look for yourself, think for yourself, and go look at these sources. And I always say, what can we learn from this? What we can learn from this is, wow. And also Profiling Evil with Mike King. Learning what a cult is and how people get caught up in cults and how that mindset goes and how we can try to avoid being in a cult or falling prey to that type of thinking. Very important. And I think watching the channel, the Mormon Stories, that talks about this case, the Lori Vallow case, is very important to understanding why it might not have seemed so strange at first, and to others around them, what Lori was proposing, and that while she and Chad got very carried away, that has kind of happened before, and it explains why probably there's a lot of political pressure to keep this under wraps and not. I think there's going to be a lot of talk and trial about the Mormon Church, and not the church now, but its roots, which are in the 1880s, not too far away, and it's got some Scientology like aspects to it, not in the story so much, but like ideas about these things are secret and we don't talk about it outside of our own circles, and this prophecy, words like prophecy and skyer, is that right? When people look at something, scryer, when they scry. Listen, it's paganism, and the weird thing is, the first Mormon guy did stuff that we would consider like witchcraft. Scrying is looking at something and seeing the future, or seeing something in it. Like they have like scryer stones, but also people can do it like in a bowl of water, or in a mirror, or in a traditional, what's that thing called? The glass ball that like people, when you go into a tent at, I was going to say at a circus. What's that called? Not the magic ball. Put it in the comments if you know what the heck I'm talking about. It's the dyslexia. It's called tip of the tongue syndrome. I can see it's not a magic ball. What is that called? Where you like look at the glass ball and you can see inside it. Like on Wizard of Oz, and he, I don't know, I'm trying to, see, that's great. Pretty soon I'm doing my dyslexic. Let me mime for you. We'll play charades. All right. So anyways, what I'm trying to say is, while it seems so odd, I think the embarrassment is in these roots and these strange beliefs that the defense are going to say, like, basically, look, Lori couldn't help but be crazy. Look at what she was exposed to. And everybody in the church, whether they don't want those like really radical, weird fringe ideas representing Mormonism. That's personally what I think is going on, and why everything's so secret in Idaho about this is because there's too much, like there's some latent embarrassment about their roots, and their culture is to be secretive. And so it's just a cultural thing, but I wish, it just makes it seem even weirder. And as we know in everything else, everything comes out eventually. Okay, Judge Boyce? It does. And maybe there's political pressure, and yeah, we're going to see. But anyways, so that was our fifth case, the Lori Vallow case. I will be letting you know. They're picking a jury as we speak now. It is in Ada County, which is Boise, Idaho, a bigger county. If you are in Boise, go follow at Pretty Lies and Alibis on Twitter, and at Lori Hellis. She has her pizza party. They're having a pizza party, I think on the 5th or the 6th of this week. They'll have other meetups, I'm sure, for like-minded people watching the trial. She is getting into the trial, I believe. I don't know if they're in the overflow room or in the court, but I don't think anybody's allowed in the court today. I think they all had to be overflow to watch, because protecting people who aren't picked for the jury. This is just voir dire. So voir dire. I thought it was French. Everybody's saying it's Latin, but I say it like it's French. V-O-I-R, voy, and then dire, but you say it like deer, voy dire, some people say, which is to speak the truth. It is the process by which you get the people who are going to be your jury to speak the truth about their biases. You get to ask them questions. They're supposed to be truthful, and that is supposed to ensure both sides can have some strikes and dismiss people, and they have like an equal number, sort of like blackballing if you've ever been in any sort of sorority, fraternity. Like you have so many that you can just automatically get rid of for no reason. Anyway, so we're seeing about that. That's getting going. So that is the Vallow case. I will tell you more when there's more to tell. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you know any Mormons? Do you know anything about the history? Do you find it any different than, do you think they're, it's very interesting to me. And how much do you think of them really influenced Lori, or do you think she's just cuckoo for coconuts anyways? Or the fact she lied and hid it? Is she like mentally ill but not legally insane? Let me know. And it would help if you would hit the thumbs up. And hey, subscribe if you want to, follow my little cases here. And if you want to be notified, hit the bell. And then, about every 10 to 12 days, or maybe in between more, you'll find out when I upload. All right. Let me know. Bye.